In normal years, July is when free agency happens. And if you're anything like me, you're constantly checking your phone for the latest Woj bomb. Kevin Durant to the Nets? Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers?
Oh yeah!
Justin Holiday to the Pacers? But this year, free agency won't be happening until October, which gives NBA YouTubers like yours truly plenty of time to make my picks on who is going where. In today's video, I'm telling you where 5 of the top NBA free agent point guards should sign. How's it going, everybody? This is Troy, host of the Half Court Report YouTube channel, and in today's video, it's the first in a series of where I think some of my favorite free agents are going to sign for next season. I'm going to do it position by position, and today I'm focusing on point guards. And as we all know, as the NBA becomes more and more positionless for some of these selections, you guys may be saying,
that guy doesn't always play point guard.
Well, I'm picking guys where the case can be made that point guard is their better spot, and they've also spent extended time at that position. And as always, remember that new videos posted Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday about anything and everything NBA. Also, if you enjoy the NBA, like this video, subscribe to this channel. It helps out a ton. I'm going to start off with Fred VanVleet of the Toronto Raptors. He is one of the top point guards in free agency this year. 26 years old, really coming into his prime. I love his story. He was undrafted out of Wichita State. Now a huge piece for a really good Raptors team. Finally became a full-time starter this year after spending his first few seasons coming off the bench. He does play out of position at the shooting guard, but he's a point guard in actuality, so I'm going to put him on the free agent point guard list. This season, he's averaging basically career highs all across the board. Over 17 points per game, over 6.5 assists per game, almost 3 made three-pointers per game. Tack on his almost 40% conversion rate from distance. And these are Dame Lillard-esque kind of numbers. The Raptors need to keep him at all costs. I'd choose him over Kyle Lowry 10 times out of 10. Lowry still has that 1 year left on his deal. Serge Ibaka, he's going to be a free agent for Toronto as well. I would also prioritize VanVleet over Ibaka. VanVleet is one of the easiest players for the Raptors to plug in as a reliable contributor and also count on him for that long-term nucleus of the team when maybe they'll have Giannis. Who knows? But I expect him to get $15 to $20 million a year. VanVleet could have other suitors. The Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks, I think, would love to have him on their team. They could throw tons of money at him, but when it's all said and done, he's going to be great wherever he signs. Next up is Goran Dragic of the Miami Heat, and a late career move to Miami's second unit has really invigorated Dragic. He's back to being really one of the most effective offensive point guards in the game. He is thriving in this reserve role. Per 36 minutes, he's having the third best season of his career. And this is a guy who's 34 years old. He wants to get that one last contract. He should have his share of offers in free agency, especially as the Plan A type targets really start coming off the board. He would be a fun guy to see for the Dallas Mavericks alongside Luka. He would immediately be the Sixers' best bench player if they could somehow find a way to sign him. Staying with the Heat is also an option because the Heat have enough depth to keep him from burning out, but they also really need his contributions on that second unit. They also have the flexibility to throw a big short-term offer at him. So I think as long as it's off the books in a couple of years when they can go hunting for the big free agents, they wouldn't have any issue doing that. Next up, we've got Jordan Clarkson of the Utah Jazz. He's always been that kind of guy who can come off the bench and light it up, and he was just wasting away in Cleveland earlier this season before that trade to Utah. Since he came over in that trade, the Jazz have a record of 23-11. They're also 1.8 points better per 100 possessions with him than without him. If you're not really into stats, that's good, trust me. He also adds some missing off the dribble creativity. His three-point shot really looks good this season, over 2 threes per game and almost 37% from three. Given that the Jazz are still in that win now mode and it's tough for them to lure in free agents, I think the last big one they got was Mehmet Okur or Carlos Boozer. The Jazz are probably going to do everything they can to keep Jordan Clarkson in Salt Lake City. I could see him getting some interest also from the Knicks and the Blazers. I like him as a backup there. My next player is Chris Dunn of the Chicago Bulls, and really, if anything, came out of the Jim Boylan coaching experiment in Chicago. His days are numbered, of course. I think it's that he helped Chris Dunn really figure out the type of NBA player that he is. So Dunn was drafted 4 years ago at number 5 by the Minnesota Timberwolves to be a starting point guard in this league. But he's better suited as a Tony Allen or Marcus Smart type of player, coming off the bench, wreaking havoc for the opposing teams. Dunn is going to make his money next year as a defensive stopper. Not much of an offensive threat, though. He's going to get steals, he'll get deflections, but he is not a shooter by any stretch. For his career, 42% from the field, 30% from three, just a little over 70% from the foul line. Not great for a point guard. He's also kind of injury prone too. The defensive versatility and ability to force turnovers does have value though, and I think Chicago would be happy extending him an offer to keep him there longer term. I also like him on the Hawks, especially with Trae Young's defensive limitations. Maybe Denver could make some sense as well. And finally, we've got De'Anthony Melton of the Memphis Grizzlies, and he is a combo guard, but I'm listing him with the point guards here. You can slot him in at the 1 or the 2, but I really wanted to talk about him. He was the guy that the Grizzlies were interested in last summer when they insisted he be included in the Josh Jackson trade. De'Anthony Melton is the ideal glue guy in today's NBA. Whether it's the deflection or the steal or the leaking out in transition for a fast break layup or making the right assist to the open shooter, Melton can do all of these things. And with Melton in the rotation, the Grizzlies went 27-20, which is on pace for a 47-win team. Melton will be entering his 3rd season next year. The question with him is, can he become a long-term NBA starter? And a lot of that, like Chris Dunn, is going to depend on his shooting. The most common comparison for De'Anthony Melton is Avery Bradley, one of those smaller 2 guards who can also play point that thrives as a defensive stopper, secondary playmaker, catch and shoot, 3-point shooter. Melton has the elements to take his game to the next level and become a nice contributor for a really good playoff team. Is that going to be in Memphis? I don't know. I could see it making sense him re-signing for the Grizzlies, but also I think he'd be a good fit in Orlando or in that Spurs system in San Antonio. That's going to do it for part 1 of this series. Still going to cover 4 other positions, so let me know what you think in the comments. If you've enjoyed today's video, be sure and click that thumbs up button. Also, make sure you are subscribed to this channel as well. Thanks so much for watching. This is Troy with the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time.